Good afternoon. Thank you for stopping by my channel. What I'm doing is I'm going over the most common questions asked on the state of Florida real estate exam. And even furthermore, what I've been doing is going through each one of these 1001 questions and breaking it down into 100 questions at a time. And then I've also been narrowing it down by chapters that have the majority of the questions on the test. So probably won't even have close to 100 questions on this video. So stick around and let's see if we can get this test passed. Cram exam, Q&A, cram exam number 6. Like I previously stated, I went ahead and circled, through the questions, which chapters had the most questions in the book that are on the state exam. So those are the questions I'm basically going to focus on. So if you go through and look at all my videos, I went ahead and picked the chapters that have the most questions that apply to the test. So if you know these, that's 80% of them right there, plus the math, you should be good to go. But anyways, let's get at it. A broker has a listing on a seller's home. They're on vacation. During the time, the broker gets an offer for $78,000 and for $80,000. What should the broker do? Wait till they get home from vacation and present both offers. Is the answer. Let's see this one down here. Frank and Harry own a property. Frank dies and the property passes to Harry. How was the property held? And the answer is a joint estate. All right. Sales associate must do all the following to new and current valid license, except, and that's show a Florida residency. You do not have to be a resident of Florida to have a license. Broker was convicted of security fraud, causing Freck to revoke his license. And what kind of status will he be in is what the question's getting at, and he'll be placed into involuntary inactive status. All the following are requirements of obtaining a Florida real estate broker's license, except be employed for the last 12 months in the last 5 years by an active licensed broker, is the answer. So I'm trying to narrow it down even more. Instead of just going through all the questions, I'm the chapters that are heavily loaded with questions that are on a state exam. So we'll go ahead and keep at it. All the following statements related to a role of a sales associate are correct, except the sales associate can be employed by a general public to perform real estate activities. All the following are application requirements for obtaining a Florida real estate license, except must be a Florida resident, which we've covered multiple times. Which of the following provides a quiet enjoyment on a deed and as a covenant? Which type of business relationship must be in writing and as a corporation and limited partnership both have to be in writing. A building that cost $662,000 10 years ago would cost $770,000 if built today. The building is expected condition and looks only to be about 5 years old. The carpeting needs to be replaced for $20,000. Total accrued depreciation is 25 years, useful life, and that's $170,000 is the answer. That's a math question. We'll go over those in the group questions later on. Property measures 660 feet. This is another math question. We'll get that with the math. Also, keep an eye out for, after I go through all these questions, I'm going to do a demonstration of the math questions, the kind of math questions that are going to be on the test. Buyer and seller agree in a contract to post-date a deposit check. Which statement is correct? Sales associate should immediately give the check to their broker. It doesn't matter if it's post-dated or not. Obviously, I would talk to my broker anyways and let him know that it's going, but you have to give it to him. What is the name for the legal rights and property owner whose land borders a river? And that's a recipient, right? Let's see here. I always remember the R for river. Anything that's moving. How could an easement be extinguished? and that's by a court action. Real estate brokerage commissions are based on which of the following, and that's the actual sales price, not what it's listed for, but the sales price. For broker and their business change addresses, what should they do is no change. They remain to force as long as you change is reported to the department within 10 days. Which clause in a deed further assures the buyer that the present owner actually owns the property, and that's a warrant of seizin, S-E-I-Z-I-N. How does a Sherman Antitrust Act relate to real estate brokerage? And it's fixing the commission rates, the Sherman Act for commission rates. Previous owner, upon selling the property, specifically required a buyer to use property for its own purpose, only one purpose. What type of restriction is this? And that's a deed restriction. Real estate broker usually represents customers as what type of agent? That's a special agent. What is the name of an individual who passed the state broker's examination but continues to operate as a sales associate? That's a broker associate. What type of advertising would a broker most likely use to sell a duplex? And that's specific. What is a closing statement? Statement or settlement cost between a buyer and a seller is the answer to that one. Tom, Brian, Bill purchased an office building in fee simple. Which form of ownership would Tom's family prefer? That's tenancy in common. Which business structure may not act as a real estate brokerage? And that's corporate soul. Just think of soul as in S-O-U-L, like a church. Corporate soul, S-O-L-E. Sales associate is selling their own property. What information would be required as a broker's advertisement? And that's name on the brokerage firm, or name of the brokerage firm, sorry. Paul is a captain in the Air Force. While stationed in Florida, Paul obtained a real estate license shortly thereafter. Captain Paul was transferred to Oklahoma. 5 years later, he retired and returns back to Florida, where he wishes to sell real estate. Which statement applies? Paul can request and reissue of his license within 2 years of his discharge. He has 2 years. Which covenant of deed is a warrant of a grantor that they will sign a document in future that they would be necessary to maintain a quiet title? And that's a further assurance, warrant of further assurance. Which business structure holds a title of land in its own name? And it's a partnership. New sales associate does not complete the post-license education before the first renewal. What is the sales associate license status? It's null and void. Principle of a sub situation is used in all appraisal approaches. Estimated market value, but is best illustrated in which valuation approach? And that's comparable sales. Which type of deed is most favorable for a grantor's point of view? And that's a quick claim. Those already. So this is definitely going to be a lot shorter, but I'm just really just trying to highlight the chapters, and I will do it at the end. I'll grab my book real quick and go over the chapters that have 6 or more questions in that chapter. That's kind of like how I'm breaking this down. Broker receives conflicting claims on an escrow deposit request, and have the claim paid by the recovery fund is the answer. Broker asks his secretary to attend an open house. The secretary quotes prices and terms of prospective buyer per brokerage instructions. This is a violation of the law, ? Yes, because the secretary is doing things that require a license. What type of contract is formed when a buyer calls an agent on a phone and wants to buy a certain property, and is an unenforceable contract? What relationship does a transaction broker have with their employer? And it's a limited representation. Looks like there's only one on this side. Three members of a family purchase property without the right of survivorship. That's tenancy in common, or without a right of survivorship. That's that one. Mrs. X appoints Mrs. Y to sell her house in the event that she dies. Which statement applies? Mrs. Y can sell the estate without a real estate license. Which statement is correct regarding a corporate sole, S-O-L-E? It allows title to go through a successor to the clergy in place. A tenant orally makes an offer to lease a house for 2 years for $600 per month. What makes this offer unenforceable? Status of fraud is the answer. Without specific authorization, it is a violation for a sales associate to accept which of the following as a deposit, and that's a post-dated check. Need authorization to do such. Did that one already. It looks like we only have 1, 2, 3 questions on that side. Oh, there's a lot over here. All right. Sally is a licensed real estate broker in the state that has a mutual recognition agreement with Florida. Sally wishes to obtain Florida license. Her choices include all the following except receive a Florida license by reciprocity if she is not a Florida resident. Sales associate Colleen, who works for a broker, Coco, has assigned the task of writing real estate advertisement. Coco's office is in this situation a violation of Florida Statute 475, and the answer is no, because any sales associate may write any ad regardless of whether it took a listing or not, providing it is under the direct supervision of the broker and the broker's name appears on the ad. Under which condition may a sales associate be employed by 2 brokers? And that's under no circumstance. Real estate license is required for all the following individuals, except an appraiser on salary with a financial institution. A listing contract may be terminated in all the following ways except acceptance of another offer on the property is the answer. Smith owns an orange grove and a warehouse. Smith dies in state, and the court appoints Brown to dispose of Smith's assets. What can Brown do? Take the necessary steps to sell the property and be compensated for their efforts. Before Smith dies, Jones is made executor. If Jones wants to actively participate in the sales of Smith's property and be compensated for his efforts, which statement is correct? Jones may sell Smith's property without a real estate license. 2 more questions. A broker sells Jane, a prospective renter, a rental list for $100 on May 1st. If Jane wants a refund, by which date must Jane request a refund? And the answer is May 31st. Last question. Janet has reached the end of her lease. She is unable to reach the landlord, but stays in the property anyway. What kind of tenancy is this? And it's tenancy at sufferance. All right, that was a quick overview of this section. What I did was, like I said, I went through, marked all the chapters here in the Florida real estate book. In class, they gave us the chapters that have the most questions pertaining to the state exam. So chapters 4, 12, 8. Let's go 2, 4, 5, 8, 9, 11, 12, 14, and 16. So what I'm doing is just going through and highlighting them and circling them. That way, that right there is the bulk of the questions that are on the test. So if this helps, I appreciate you guys watching. Hit that subscribe button, smash that bell notification. We'll see you on the next video. Thank you.